Hello everyone, my name is Jordan, also known as X-3. Today I want to show you guys how to create a deep house track. This will span over the course of 7 days, so welcome to day 1. In day 1, we'll be discussing how to make a beat, EQ and compress it, add some reverb effects, spread it, and really fill out some of the drums to really get our track grooving. And then in day 2, I'll be showing you how to make a nice chord stab. So right now, I'm going to dive right in and show you what to get started with. So I'm going to drop the drum rack right onto my MIDI. This creates a little device down here. Now, what I'm going to navigate to is a promo pack that I received while signing up with SupaStars. I'm going to put the link down in the description below, so that way you guys can have an opportunity to get this and follow along with me, or make your own cool variation while following the same technique. So I'm going to dive deep into my Deep Tech House promo pack 1. Go to my drum hits, and I'm going to look for 2 kick drums, one that's very punchy and one that's very short and stab-like. I like my bass drum 04, so this is going to be my second kick. And I like the first kick as well. So I'm going to rename these kick 1 and kick 2. So the first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a drum, like a little bit of a kick line. I'm gonna right click inside the grid here, choose 1/4, and just drop a kick on every 4th. I'm using Option to copy and paste these all along here. So just like that. And as I play this, we're going to start to hear the kicks go in the background. But what I want to do is that while these kicks are running, I'm going to run through my claps and my snares to see which one sounds good. This is a great practice for trying to figure out where your drums can go when you're in the flow. Okay, there's one small problem. That is, when I use the deep tech sessions, I'm actually going to go into my deep melodic for some of the snares, since the snares are too compressed. So I'm going to go to my drum hits, and I'm going to navigate to my snares and claps. Much better. I'm going to choose the snare drum 02. Place that on top of my kick 2, and I notice with clap 1, that's a simple clap. Clap 5 sounds a little bit better to me, more muffled. Drop clap 5 onto my first kick. Name this clap 1, and I'm gonna rename this snare 1. Cool. So now that we have our kick and clap, I'm going to add it to the drum line. And I'm going to drop the snare and clap onto my 1/2. I'm going to drop that onto my 1/4 as well. So the difference between a deep house track and a club track is that there are subtle variations with a deep house track. I'm going to get into that a little bit later when we start to develop more of percussions after we discuss our hats. So I'm going to play this, And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it off grid right now, and I'm going to offset my snare and my clap so that way they hit when the kick hits, and it will start to create a bigger impact. You'll see what I mean. Okay, so now that we have a little bit of the offset, it's time to dive into a little bit more percussion. So I'm going to go to my hi-hats, and I'm going to choose a hat that is dominant but not too blaring, like something that isn't saturated. So hat number 5 is good. So I'm going to drop that on top of my snare 1. And I want to go to my melodic tech, and I'm going to search for a hat that works here as well. I like number 3 as a little bit higher aspects with that. So I'm going to rename these hat 1 and hat 2. So now that we have our hats, I'm gonna add that to the drum line. I'm gonna choose 1/16, and I'm gonna choose, instead of the first one, every other one. Okay, now I'm gonna play this along, and we're gonna see where we're at with the drum beat. I noticed the hats can be a little bit repetitive, so in order to change this up a bit, I'm going to choose my 132, and I want to choose my triplet grid. I'm going to do Command B, or you can do Control B if you're not too familiar with the shortcuts to grab the low drawing tool. And I'm just going to throw in some triplets here and there to kind of change it up a bit. Okay, so I removed some of the hats. So now we have this triplet pattern. And less is more when you have drums. When you have certain percussion here and there, you want a little bit of sporadicness, but not overpowering. So this is pretty good. And then I'm going to just duplicate the same thing, but with the other hat. So I'm going to highlight them all, hold down Alt, Option, and drag up. Okay, so I'm gonna just delete every other hat to give a little bit more emphasis on the hats, on the glitch hats. You want to make sense, but not too much randomness. So now that we have this like basic beat, I'm going to fill it out a little bit more. So we're going to dive into our hits. So I'm in the deep melodic tech pack. I like number 3, so we're going to take that, name this perk 1. and I'm gonna mosey on over to my new Electro promo pack. Go in the hits. I'm gonna use that number 4. And number 2. So for number 4, just rename this perk 2. Number 2 over here, name this perk 4. You can always drag and drop these to rearrange these, and they'll switch places. Okay, so one of the big things with Deep Tech is that, or Deep House, is that you have to have your kicks pretty much very wide. So if you double click inside your kick sample, and you bring your spread up to about 48, right click on it, you'll see this little value that says copy value to siblings, and it'll show the little number. You want that because you'll copy everything on over to your samples. See, perk 2 has it, and perk 1. So the differences with my hats is that hat 2 is a little bit too much. So as this plays, I'm going to take down the sustain all the way so we get more of a click. And then I'm going to take the decay down as well so we get more of that clickiness. So now we have more of a deep house type of drum rack. So join me in part 2 for the percussion side, and as I start to add in the reverb and then squash out some of the drums.